I'd like to call the Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Ms. Barado, would you please take the roll?
Sunday, Mumgarden, Gaines, Glover, Fanslaw, Klug, Stubbe, Ingberg.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
We do.
And a current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the council chambers. I'd like to invite both of you up. Got a proclamation. This is Park and Recreation Month. Whereas park and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all citizens and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a Papillion. Whereas park and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services, and improves the mental and emotional health of all citizens. Whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and a retention of businesses, and crime reduction, and fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. Whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. Natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Whereas the city of Papillion estimates over 400,000 visitors to our parks, 109 visitors in our recreation programs in 2022. Whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month, the City of Papillion maintains 1,434 acres of public space, including 25 playgrounds, a dog park, 3 splash pads, and 82 sports fields, courts, and 6 public facilities. Now, therefore, let's proclaim July as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Papillion. Welcome, and thanks for all you guys do. Thank you. You want to share? Yes. Both of you. Share a few words.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing July as our busiest time of year for both our departments because everything is in full swing. But it also marks the kind of coming to an end. Next week will be the start of our last 4 weeks of summer camp. So the last week of camp is July 31st. And it also is closer to the end of swim season. Papillion Bay will be closing August 6th this year. So the doggy dip will be August 19th, which that's an exciting date for those of us that like to take our 4-legged friends for a dip. But thank you very, very much.
I'll echo what Tracy said. Thanks for all the support throughout the year. I will tell you this could not be done without a staff that is second to none. You all have people who work for us and work for you that are as dedicated as anybody that I have ever seen in our profession. I think that's why you see our athletic fields being used so much. I think that's why you see our parks being just utilized tremendously, especially over the 4th of July weekend, just so much use in the parks. That's why because your staff just does a great job keeping everything mowed, keeping it clean, keeping it safe, and innovating and putting in new things too. So it's just a pleasure to work with people like that. It makes my job fun. I think it makes Tracy's job fun. And with your support, we keep doing it, and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we do the administrator's report, I know the council's aware, but just share with public, we had a police officer that passed away on Sunday, Lieutenant Ray Higgins. So we just want to provide condolences to his wife, Gail, and his mom and dad, Rich and Bev. Ray is known by a lot of people in this community for all he did, but to give a little bit of perspective, I think it'd be nice to have Councilman Ingberg share, not only from an elected perspective, but if people aren't aware, Steve had been the police chief and actually hired Ray. So I thought he'd give a little bit of a perspective before we go on with the rest of the meeting. Councilman Ingberg.
Well, thank you, Mayor. As Mayor Black said, it was both my honor and privilege as police chief to hire Ray. What's interesting about it is there's times I don't remember what I did an hour ago, but the day that Ray passed, I found myself thinking about him often, and since then. But that night I was just sitting around thinking about him, and for some reason I can remember almost verbatim the interview he and I had back in 1988. And I will tell you from that interview, all the parts I remember from it, I knew right away he was going to be a good public service, better than a good public service. You know, his goal was to help people. And he won me over for that reason, among others, but that's one of the big reasons. I knew he would work well in the community. He was from here. I knew both his parents, and I knew the quality upbringing he had, but he really, really, truly wanted to be a public servant, and he certainly was that. Needless to say, when somebody passes unexpectedly, especially at a young age, as Ray did, it makes it somewhat more difficult to accept because it's so unexpected. But I remember something that I asked my mother when I was just a little kid. I asked her one time, I said, why does it seem like all the best people have to die? And she said something that I remembered the other day. She said, well, stop and think about it. When you walk into a garden, how do you decide which flowers to pick? I said, I don't know. She said, you pick the best one. And that's what Ray was. He was one of the best ones, and that's why he was picked. So to Bev and Rich and the rest of his family, rest easy, and I'm sure God has some thin blue line work for him to do, and that's maybe why he got called. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Ms. Powers, Administrator's Report, please.
Thank you. And just to echo what Mayor Black said and Councilmember Ingberg, the city's thoughts and prayers are with Ray's wife, Gail, and his family and friends, and his police and fire department families. Just a tremendous community loss, tremendous. And I just want to let everybody know arrangements were finalized today. So visitation for Ray will be on Monday, July 10th from 4 to 8 p.m. at St. Paul's United Methodist Church. And then the funeral will be following the next day on Tuesday, July 11th at 10 a.m., also at St. Paul's. And then there will be a procession following, and more details on the procession will be forthcoming in the next couple of days. So those details have yet to be worked out. And then just moving on, just a couple of other quick things. Thank you to everyone that attended the Sarpy County Museum site dedication on Tuesday, June 27th at its future location, which is near Highway 370 and 90th Street. It was a well-attended event, and there's a lot of excitement around the new museum and the new Wimmer Railroad collection. And then finally, it's that time of year where the city is working on the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Robin will be reaching out to each of you in the next couple days to schedule your individual budget meetings with Mayor Black, Mark, and myself. And let us know during those meetings what your priorities are, and we'll try to work them into the budget if we don't already have them in, and if it's possible. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilman Gaines, second by Councilwoman Kwik. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item D1, Ordinance 2002, a request for a change of zone from AG Agricultural to CC Community Commercial and R4 PUD2 multifamily residential with a specific planned unit development overlay for the property legally described as a tract of land located in the southeast quarter of the Southwest Quarter, Section 36, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, generally located on the northwest of 66th Street and Schramm Road. The applicant is Spruce Capital Group. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Glover. If anybody is here for that item, the public hearing will be at the next council meeting. Next is item F1, Resolution R230114, a resolution to approve of the appointment of Nicole R. Hutter Nelson as the city attorney. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R230114? Motion by Councilman Kwik. Second by Councilman Ingberg. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? I'll just make a quick comment. We had some really good applicants for city attorney, so thankful it's a place that people want to be. And we had two extremely strong final candidates. And what kind of is making the decision, what tipped it in Ms. Hutter Nelson's, to her side, was she is currently in the #1 spot of leading a department, so already has the leadership and managing of the staff of a government entity. It's the State Patrol, and so she reports to the commander, top guy at the State Patrol, and so brings that leadership experience to us, which I think will be valuable for us. We can all learn from that. But if you think from a municipal perspective, any city around the nation, probably one of your biggest liability is public safety, police. And she's got 5 years experience in police. So I thought that would be a huge benefit to us, including teaching courses at the police academy. So that was kind of the one thing that finally tipped it over to her. So look forward to working with her. It's a little unusual that she's not here tonight and that we're not doing the swearing in, but she had a couple of prior commitments, and she was willing to give those up, and we said, no, don't give those up, honor your commitments. And so she's not here tonight, and we'll do the swearing in at a later point. And then her start date is actually delayed a little bit because of prior commitments as well. We said honor those commitments. Thankfully, Alan is still available to us, so really appreciate Alan and everything in the transition as well. Can't say enough thanks for you, Alan. Appreciate everything. So with that, any other discussion? If not, please vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F2, Resolution R, and thank you for that. Next is item F2, Resolution R230108, a resolution to approve a lease agreement between the City of Papillion and the Papillion La Vista School District to provide for the use and maintenance of Fricke Field. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R230108? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F3, Ordinance 2000, an ordinance to amend Chapter 9 of the Papillion Municipal Code to repeal Article 10, Papillion Arts Council. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 2000? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Fanslow. Any discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. F4, Resolution R230110, a resolution to approve Cassandra I'm going to mess up the last name, Gerih, as the corporate manager of Kwik Shop, doing business as Kwik Shop 687 for the Class D liquor license. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R230110? Motion by Councilman Mungard, second by Councilman Ingberg. Any proponents or opponents? Is the applicant here? Thank you. You don't have to come up and talk if you don't want to, but it's important for us to know that you did show up, so thank you for that. Any council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Showing up has made a difference on people being approved, so thank you for that. And thanks for what you do. Kwik Shop is a great operation in Papillion, so appreciate it. Resolution F5, Resolution R230113, a resolution to approve a bill of sale transferring Police K-9 Unit Dog Trinity from the City of Papillion to Police Lieutenant Christopher Goley. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R230113? Motion by Councilman Kwik. Second by Councilman Gaines. Any proponents or opponents? Council discussion? And if people are not aware, Mr. Goalie is retiring and has the opportunity to bring Trinity with him. So that's what this resolution is, and we'll recognize Lieutenant Goalie at a later council meeting. Any council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. It's all the regular agenda items. No committees have met. Any comments from the floor? Council comments? Just a couple things from the last couple of weeks. Again, appreciate the museum and the dedication of the site, and thanks Mr. Stursma for speaking on the city's behalf. Then Ms. Powers also hosted the NCMA conference in Papillion. That's the Nebraska City Managers Association. It's their professional association, so what, 3 days? Pretty neat conference. She was able to use, I think, in almost every case, local Papillion businesses, speakers, and vendors. So really showed off Papillion. So appreciate that. And then we had the wastewater agency meeting. Major thing there is we modified some of the policies on growth management. The biggest reason is just as people are starting to do development in the sewer agency, we're starting to see some exception requests, and then struggling is that exception actually a thing you want to normalize, or is it truly an exception? And there are a couple of, no, those are normal activities, so we wanted to update the growth management plan so they're not exceptions. They can actually be managed administratively. And most of that has to do with if somebody's got a property with a house, something happens to that house and they need to replace it, they should by right be able to replace that and use their septic system and not have to go through all the development processes. And so that's what a lot of that was about. But if you have any questions on the growth management plan, be sure to let us know. And then on July 4th, there was an outside group, the Honor and Remember organization, which tries to honor fallen soldiers and their families. They had a ceremony at the Gold Star Memorial at Veterans Park. Had a good attendance, and those, I think everybody knows Diane Pegler. She's probably the biggest cheerleader of Papillion. She's actually the daughter of a fallen Vietnam. Her dad was killed in Vietnam, and she was the one actually being honored. So it was nice that the memorial was being used by a group on July 4th, but I think it was extra special that Diane was the one being presented her flag. So thank you for everybody that showed up there. A couple of reminders, 2 ribbon cuttings, July 18th. On the Border has their ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. And then July 27th is Chirpy's, I think it's Chirpy's Play Cafe. There was that new building that was built on about 96th and Schramm. People have been wondering what's going in there. That's the Chirpy's ribbon cutting on July 27th at 4 p.m. And then just the only other reminder is, again, Ray, the details on Lieutenant Higgins. Monday, the visitation from 4 to 8, and then the service itself at 10 a.m. As we get more specific details, we'll make sure that you stay informed of what those are. Any other council comments? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Gaines. Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
We are adjourned. Thank you.